So we're gonna start a rug and show you what I'm doing. So what I did was I picked my colors already. They're all kind of here scattered on the floor a little bit. And then what I've done is I've cut these up. You take all the hems off, all the stitching, all the buttons, anything that's rough and heavy because it's going to knot up and look lumpy. So you kind of want it to be kind of smooth. And you can see about how thick I've got it. Now some materials are thinner, and so you have to make them a little wider to make them just as thick. So kind of keep that in mind. And so what you do is you start with 3 strips. You're just braiding, right? So you're always going to have 3 strips in your hand. What I found is that if you've got like a stretchier material like jersey, like old t-shirts or boingy, and then you've got something that might be a little stiffer, you can combine those fabrics because then you're not going to get as much pulling and all that tension that seems to make these rugs bowl more. And so if you want less of that, mix your stiffer materials and your springier materials. I've also found that it, because mine are always like round or oval, because I don't know how to do the square ones. Lighter colors or a mix of colors in the middle tends to make a better looking rug. I have found that when I've got really dark colors in the middle and then it gets lighter, sometimes it ends up looking like a big hole in them. I don't know. It's just the way that it looks, I guess. So what I've done here is I've got a bunch of greens or off greens and then some multicolor with green in it. Also some random stuff that's left over that's a little green that I'm going to mix in the middle there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with 3 colors. And so what I've done is I've cut my strips and I've cut my little things here in the middle. These little slits on either side, either end. And I put them the 3 together. And I just take some thread, and I like to use this like upholstery thread. It's nylon, so like it'll hold up. It's not going to wear out and like break later because these will be walked on, hopefully. And so I just take the 3 and I just put a couple, just a little bit of stitching to hold them together. And this is your start. So just a few, and it doesn't have to be beautiful. This is going to be on the underside of the rug. Now these rugs you can flip over, but they're also kind of slippery like on tile or hardwood, so I generally will also sew like the rubber grippy matting on the back. So generally I'll have a back because I don't want anybody to slip and fall or trip. So once you've got that, so I'm being watched. Okay, so just kind of knot that. Once you've kind of gotten them secured. Again, it doesn't have to be beautiful. And we're going to save our needle and thread because we're actually going to use it just a little bit, just at the beginning. These rugs are braided, but there is sewing at the beginning. So you've got your 3 here. Let's turn this a little bit. Okay. So you're going to very, very loosely braid these. You don't want to have a whole lot of tension. So we're just going to braid these. What you could do, if I had like my basket in front of me, I could take like a safety pin and put it through here and hold it onto something, like onto my basket. So I've got a little bit of tension, but it really is best just to loosely braid at this point. Just kind of pull with your hands a little bit. This is going to be the very center of your rug, and you're just braiding just like you would like plait someone's hair. When you're doing these rugs too, you know, it can be therapeutic and it can be relaxing to do. It is relaxing to do. Like I'm watching a walking tour of Rome, Italy. I love when the people walk around with their GoPro and they walk around cities, like, and then post the walk onto YouTube. And it makes me feel like I'm traveling, and I don't need to put the sound on either if I don't want. Anyway, I have found that when I'm stressed and I'm trying to do this, I end up yanking and pulling a lot, and then the rugs will bunch up. So you actually have to kind of be in a calmer state, I think, to even do this. And so if it motivates you to calm down, get into a zone, and then just braid. And what I'm doing is I'm adding another piece here. So my braid can be a little longer. So, you know, you've got your slits. I don't know if I have shown this already. Once you cut them, you cut these little slits in the end, just a little snip. And then you pick up the end, and you've got the little slit here, and you've got the end here. You push it through, so it's just through the slit. And then you take one, push it through that end, and then you've got it through that slit, and then you pull it down, and then you kind of like fold this fabric over so it's neat. And then they kind of grab onto each other, and then you have a longer piece. And so that's what you're doing pretty much the whole time you're braiding. That's how you can have any length strips, really. Super duper long are probably gonna be hard, you know, but if you've, you know, like I'm using old clothes that, you know, maybe aren't good enough for the thrift store to give away, you know, to charity or something. You know, stained, I can cut the stains out. Stuff like that, or rips and tears, you can always cut those out. So what you find when you're cutting up these old clothes and things is that sometimes you end up with little pieces like this, and that's fine. Sometimes you end up with pieces, you know, 12 inches long. Sometimes they're 3 inches long. That's fine, because you've got these slits and you can add. So I'm just kind of braiding this on the table. You want a decent length. I would say like at least like 1.5 feet, because you're going to be folding this in half for your center. Now for this wider piece, I put 2 slits, and that's because I can fold it over, and I'll be, it ensures that I'll have the printed side showing, because sometimes these will flip inside out. You'll get the back side of a really pretty print, but if you have a wider piece, you can just kind of fold it over and put the slit in it like that. If you don't, it's fine. Okay. Do a little bit more. Now I learned how to do this by watching YouTube like 10 years ago, and the woman's video is still up there. And I really like one thing she said, and I've repeated this to people when I've shown them how to do this, is that it's gonna look really ugly at first. You're gonna be like, what am I doing? Like, why does this even look like this? And that is part of the process. It's going to look ugly at first. Your first few rugs are gonna be ugly. I mean, unless you're super duper crafty. I'm not necessarily. So it's taken like a dozen rugs, and they still like will have flaws, but I'm okay with the flaws too, because it makes it more like, you know, unique. So here I've got this strip. See how pretty those colors are together? So from here, you've got this lying on the table, right? You're gonna just turn it. You're still gonna have the top facing up. You turn it like this. Do you see how it's like that? And so from here, this is your top. I'm actually going to flip this over to the underside, to the side with the stitching already. And I'm going to kind of just whip stitch this together. Just stitching along the inner side. Okay, so I'm going to do that really quick. Okay. So yeah, I started doing this when I lived like in a very rural place. Well, for me, very rural. And I didn't have much to do, and I just went to work and went home, and um, I felt like I wanted to create some things, and so I tried macrame. You need to be really precise with that. This is for people who don't need to be precise or who like being precise. And so like I just kind of kept myself busy with it, and I had a friend who was getting rid of a bunch of clothes, and I said, "Ooh," and they were cute patterns, and I just had a ball cutting the strips and learning how to do this. So I'm not making these stitches too tight either. You can, you don't have to, because as you braid, the inner part of the rug is going to be really, it's going to get tighter and tighter because you're kind of braiding around it. But yeah, so the woman that I saw doing this on YouTube, she said that this, you know, this is not an all sew rug. This is an all braid rug except for this beginning part. And she said that it's like a disappearing art. I don't know. Like, is this like something Appalachian or something? I don't know. And I think she used all sheets for hers. I've seen a woman on Etsy that makes beautiful wool rugs. Hers are perfect. But I like the idea of upcycling and not having to um, buy or spend a lot on things. Like my family will give me their old t-shirts and stuff now, and I just like cut off anything that's weird, or you know what I mean? So these are just, it's like I'm repurposing so that they don't end up rotting in the warehouse of a thrift store. Because have you seen the backs of the thrift stores? The thrift stores are charging so much, people can't buy, you know, I'm not buying an $8 used shirt when I could go to TJ Maxx and get an $8 new shirt. So, you know, a lot of this stuff would just be disintegrating in a warehouse. So, yep, just kind of moving along with this stitching. Make sure I catch all of it so there are no gaps in the middle. But you also don't want to try to stitch too far out because you're going to be braiding in these loops. And if you sew them shut, it's going to make things a little more difficult. So you're definitely just sewing the inner part. And then I'm running out of thread, so I'm gonna knot this up. I wonder if anyone is watching this just because they like to watch quiet, soft YouTube videos, because that's what I do. And that's why I said, you know what, I'm gonna turn this camera on. But honestly, I like stuff where people don't talk. Like, I like to watch people cutting grass. I like to watch the walking tours. Um, I like to watch abandoned house exploration or dead and dying malls walks. The empty and the quiet is very appealing to me. Oh, people who clean houses, I like to watch those. It's very satisfying. So, what interests you about this kind of craft? Do you think you're going to try it? I would recommend some very sharp scissors. I go through scissors because, well, I used to just cut through buttons and stuff because I was a maniac. And I destroyed some really great scissors that way. Um, but yeah, I'm in my little bedroom. I live in Virginia. It's very hot. It's not even June yet. It's like in the 90s, which is fine. But you might hear this little AC running behind me because I don't have central air, which is fine. So maybe what I'll do is once I get to braiding, maybe I can set up the camera to record it and then figure out how to like show it like in speeded up time, because that might be satisfying. I know it's satisfying to do and satisfying to watch as I do it. I have a cousin who vacuums and collects vacuums and posts videos vacuuming. It's so funny how these niche interests, you think you're the only one, and then you realize that there are other people out there. Like I read tarot, and I've read tarot for a long time just within my family, and then there are videos of people doing it. And so I ended up offering tarot videos online, and there's so many people that I feel like I've helped with it. And I just thought it was, just a little obscure thing that I liked, and it's not so obscure. So I have sewed this, and I'm gonna just put a little knot so it doesn't come undone. Okay. And so you see here, well, it looks a little crooked. It looks like a little fish. But you can just, because these are loose enough, I can just kind of pull on them a little bit and make it a little more even. And you'll be pulling on it as you braid, just like this. You'll want to tug on it a little bit so that you don't do it too tightly. Okay. All right, well, that is how you get it started. We're gonna just braid around this little sewn tail. It's gonna end up underneath, okay? And we're gonna take these and we're gonna start to braid it.